the advice I would give is always get back on the horse. When you fall off, get back on. And the sooner you get back on that horse, the better. When you fall, get back up, because everybody falls. Every single person. Everybody, you'll have people tell you you're crap. You'll have people tell you you're amazing. And both things are true.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you are crap and sometimes you are amazing. And just accept it.
So that was the fabulous Mister Meredith, Luke Meredith, a friend of mine, a colleague, and all-round superhuman cabaret artist. As this week's podcast is an interview with him in two parts. The first part is with his hat on, and if he was wearing a hat, it would definitely be fabulous. With his hat of being CEO of PBH's Free Fringe. So if you're interested in, at any point, going to perform at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, then certainly the first part of this is really worth listening to, about how you apply, what it's like being part of PBH Free Fringe. I've done it 3 times actually now, and it's a really fabulous way of doing it, great sense of community. And then the second part is all about him and his life as a cabaret artist, as a pianist, as a singer, as a MC, and he also coaches. So the second part, where he talks about his life and creativity and gives some advice, starts about 18 minutes in. So those of you who have got no interest in Edinburgh should skip forward, as it were, to then. But I think it's all very much worth it, and you can obviously hear us laughing away, as I've known Luke a long time. Enjoy the interview.
I am talking. Right.
I am talking.
Okay, cool. So let's start. Hello, everyone. This is Marysia for my Love Your Creativity and Make Money podcast. And I'm really excited, actually, to be speaking to a long-time colleague, friend, and also he has taught me in the past, Luke Meredith. Yes. Oh, say that again. Can I hear you?
I don't know. I forget I taught you. It's like one of those strange things. I've known you for so long now. I forget that's how we met.
I actually think Luke might have possibly blocked it out of his memory. It was so traumatic. So, yes, indeed. But the reason we're talking to Luke today is on 2 things. One, he is an amazing creative himself. He spent, I believe, a lifetime, we're going to find out, he cabaret is an amazing pianist, singer. He does MD work, he teaches, he does so many incredible things creatively. So we're going to talk about that. But also he is CEO of PBH Free Fringe. So we're going to talk about what that is and how you, even if you want to be thinking about putting a show on in Edinburgh. Luke is actually the person who knows everything and ultimately is going to say yes or nay along with his other compatriots. So why don't we kick off first with the Free Fringe stuff first, Luke? So me, I know, because obviously I've done Free Fringe. Big fan, love it. Yeah, woo! It's definitely about making money because it massively saves costs of doing it. But why don't you tell me about your role in PBH and what PBH Free Fringe actually is?
Well, first of all, it's not just about making money. It's about creating an environment at the Edinburgh Fringe which is supportive of artists as much as anything else. And the whole system is set up as a supportive thing so that you, oh God, I can hear my own voice in these headphones. It's very long. So that you actually have a ready-made group of artists around you and a whole network that have done the Fringe before, can offer you advice, will be there with a cup of tea and a shoulder to cry on, or go and see your performance, support you that way. Because especially if you're going up there for the first time, that's very important. I know, because I went up the first time and did it all wrong. So how it works, I'll explain how it works first of all, and then how it started. It's probably easiest. It works by speaking to venues, and venues let us use their venues for free. And then we don't charge the audience any money. Now, you might think, why do venues do that? Why would they let us use it for free? The reason is because we don't charge our audiences anything to come in. We generally have rather large audiences, and they generally feel like they want to spend their money on something. And what they spend their money on is drinks at the venue. And that's how they make the money. So the venues are happy because they're making a much increased bar turnover, which is where most of them get their money from, really, even the paid ticketed venues. And then, of course, the performers, we're getting our money by holding a bucket at the door. or it might be, in these days, probably more like a card machine at the door, having said that, because we've all, even I have been started using cards these days, not carrying cash.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm about to, yeah.
Well, because I'm not being, normally I was paid in cash all the time. So I got the cash. And then for this last 9 months or whatever, I have not been paid in cash, apart from the occasional gig that I've got here and there. And so I just haven't had it ready on me. So I've just gone out on my phone, used Apple Pay. So, and I think that's how the Fringe will be next year.
Yeah.
And I think if you come up...
Sorry, can I... which one are you using? Are you using like a Zettel, kind of like a card machine?
Yeah, I use a Zettel card machine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're saying for next year, you think it's the way forward for the...
I would say it's essential next year to come up with a card machine. And I think, generally speaking, people are going to try their best to make sure there's connectivity in the venues, because that's a big problem, really, is the connectivity. You really want to get people to give you the money straight off. Having said that, anyway, that's going in more into details about next year than I need to. But that's basically how it works. The community bit comes in that we have a lot of ethos and conditions there as well. So we have something called a Wee Blue Book, which lists all the free shows. And we say to people, everybody goes out with this book and everybody distributes it. So you are, in fact, advertising each other's show. When we put people together in venues, we don't just put them in a slot. We put them in touch with everybody in their venue. And everybody works together to create the venue. So rather than you don't just go in and demand lights and demand that this is, you all talk to each other and say, how are we going to set up this space? You talk to the venue, go, how can we do this while respecting your space? And it's this coming together, this working together to make something good. And you actually get a much better feeling out of it by doing that, by all working together. And then you end up going to see each other's shows, and then you end up all drinking in the same place afterwards. And yeah, it's lovely. Yeah. I spend most of my time in the voodoo rooms or the fingers when I'm not actually working, which are my venues. I don't go to the performers' bars. I don't need to. All the performers I like are there.
Yes, and I have to say that having done Free Fringe with you guys for a few years, that I love that kind of absolute community and the fact that you really get to know the person who's on the show before you, the person on after you. There's always, because sometimes we all need a hug or a well done or a oh my God. And also that kind of aspect of community and creativity and watching each other fly and the incredible work each other does is so much part of that. And the reason at the start I actually mentioned the money aspect of it is because you have this view, don't we, that we go something like an Edinburgh Fringe is going to cost you £10,000.
Yes.
And obviously, because of course we have to talk about not doing work that is going to cost us a fortune to make and perform. Is a really important part of it, which is why I kind of led with it. So,
yes.
And so I know the answer to this, but you can answer it. So the person who's doing the show, they're going to make money by asking for money, I guess, at the end of their show, right? And I was always taught about doing a bucket speech. So somewhere in the middle of your show, you just say, please give me some money to help me eat. Is that basically it?
Well, I would say please give money because this is a good show.
Yeah.
Because this show is worth it. Because otherwise you're just begging. What you're saying is, what you are actually saying to this audience is, I'm giving you this. Do you think it's fair that you give me something in return? And I would suggest you build that into your show. Don't be embarrassed about asking for it, because if you think your show's good enough to bring to Edinburgh, you should think your show is good enough for people to give you money.
Absolutely. And I have to say...
You should have the confidence to ask people.
Yeah, so certainly with my Singing Psychic show, I always have a little tiny section about 15 minutes before the end about hearing songs about money in the room. And then I go, I know it's all the money you're going to give me at the end. But not
yes, exactly. You make it funny or you make it interesting or whatever.
Get grown. But the point is, if people come and see a Free Fringe show, then they kind of now the audience are educated about that. And of course... It's not a case, is it, that all Free Fringe shows are just not as good as paid shows?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, we've had Comedy Award winners. We've got we have some incredibly interesting work that comes out of the Free Fringe. We've got people who still have been doing the Fringe for years. Very respected comedians, very funny comedians, and they do it out of principle. And they also do it because they know they're going to have a better time.
Yeah, well, you're not less stressed if you know that your venue fee is going to be whatever. It's going to cost you $3,000 for your venue fee, and you've got no venue fee, for example.
We very often find that it's not the artists themselves, it's very often their agents and managers who push them away from the free fringe.
Yeah, I've certainly had that
It's usually the artist. It's usually them going, "Oh, my agents, I'd really love to, but my agents." Oh, mind you, sometimes they're just pushing it onto their agent, of course, because they're being idiots. But it's that whole. Yeah, there's a bit of a prejudice against it still.
No, I mean,
amazingly, considering.
Yeah. So the first year I went up with you guys in 2016 with my first Singing Psychic show. That 3 of the top 8 finalists for the best show, Funny Women, 3 of the top 8 were all PBH Free Fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them, Anna Morris, won. I was just a finalist, but the point is 3 of the 8 of us, which is incredible if you think about it. I mean, it's incredible venues. I love it. I love the Voodoo Rooms. I love the Street. I love all the venues I've seen working. So,
I think that's it. You start to love the people you're working with as well. The actual venues themselves are so supportive. And
wonderful. And there's people like Chris Cook, the magician. So I think one year he went
Bruce Taverns ones.
Sorry?
All the Bruce Taverns venues. I'm just going talking about all the venues.
I can't think of any of the. Yeah, I mean the point is I'm really pro PBH Free Fringe. There are other free fringes out there. Do you want to just talk to me about the beginning of how PBH Free Fringe started?
Well. First of all, there were free shows before. Of course, there were free shows. It wasn't the free fringe. It wasn't how we do it. When Peter says, Peter did start. It's Peter Buckley Hill, by the way. That's where PBH. People say. So when I asked me, what does PBH stand for? And Peter Buckley Hill, and they never realised because they knew Peter Buckley Hill, and they knew people. They just not put the two things together. But anyway, cut to this. One year. I think it was 1996 was his first year of doing this, when he was doing I think it was do you know what? I can't even remember the name of the pub. It was a pub down on Grassmarket and one of the Firkin pubs, I think. And he just decided he was going to do his show for free and get the audience in and just pay donations. It was full every night, absolutely full every night. And then it gradually evolved from that, where he just wanted people to feel less alone than when he felt when he did his first fringe, and to build up some sort of camaraderie, some sort of system where everybody works for each other. They don't work for the venue; they all work for each other, and everybody has a chance to feel more involved in it. And I think that's the big difference. You were saying. There are other free fringes out there, and they're not in the sense that they don't work in that way. There's not that same community way of working. We also are the only people who don't charge anything to our performers because the performers are doing all the work. I'm a performer. I'm one of the performers doing all the work, but I'm certainly not the only one. There's plenty of people who work harder than me for the free fringe. And
wow, you do work 365 days a year. I do know, Luke, when you've had a year off, that you're on holiday, and then you're tweeting. So.
I know I'm still working. If I have a year off from the fringe, I'm still working. Yes, yes. I do it I do a couple of hours in the morning for it. Yeah, but it's nice that you do it and it's done.
So if people want to get involved in PBH's Free Fringe in 2021, because we all are of the view that we're going to have some kind of shows. I'm going to be at the first line of the vaccines because I need to start performing. And
oh yeah,
and someone's got to get vaccinated. So how do they apply?
One more prick won't make any difference. That's what I say.
Say that again.
One more prick won't make any difference.
A quote or quote, Luke Meredith. One more prick won't make any difference. Yeah, you're right. So deadlines, can they apply now? What do they need to do?
Yes, applications are open. However, big caveat this year, of course, we don't know what's going to happen next year. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We've opened applications, and that just gives us a chance to have really, if anything else, speak to the venues and go, we've got this many people who are interested. This is so whether we think we can make it a goer, if restrictions are listed, because there are many options that might happen next year. If we still have social distancing, it probably means some venues cannot operate. They won't be able to operate at a profit enough to be able to do this. If you're still saying you have to serve food with drinks, I'm not sure that's the case in Scotland at the moment, but certainly with some systems, it's that. Then again, they just won't be able to do it. We don't know what's going to be happening. Touch wood, with the vaccines on the horizon, we're all very hopeful, and we're all thinking, well, maybe we might have some sort of normal fringe. In which case, even so, venues aren't going to be confirming, I think, until earliest late January.
Yeah, well, probably
maybe
March,
February.
Maybe.
So we're not going to be getting offers out until much later.
Well, you're kind of wanting to know. It's a call out for who's interested.
Yes.
Fine. So that's.
And you know what? And once come like January, February, we'll probably send out a message to everybody there and go, you need to tell us you're still interested.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because a lot of people will have revised what they think by then.
Yeah, I mean, I was due to do Brighton Fringe for both my shows this year, 2020, and basically they're also now we're looking at 2021. It's May, obviously, so it's earlier than the August, which is safer in many ways for Edinburgh Fringe. But of course, we don't know either, because suddenly your PBH Free Fringe might need to start going to Brighton. But the thing is, because it's paid venue, you're looking at what happens if you've got 50% capacity. I'm looking at that going, oh no. Because, with your biggest shows, suddenly if you're going to lose half the door, then are you really going to pay full price for the venue? So, it's a negotiation. But the great thing about you guys is at least we've got the flexibility and you're not paying over the odds for a venue when you don't know where you're at with. So where do they find the application form?
You go to freefringe.org.uk. freefringe.org.uk. And you can look us up. We're on Twitter as The Free Fringe. We're on Instagram as The Free Fringe. We haven't posted a lot on Instagram at the moment, but we are working on that. We've got a whole social media team that's getting ready to go right now.
Yeah, and I will add that if as part of getting involved with PBH's Free Fringe, which I've certainly done, is we all get involved. Yeah. We help with them.
We all get involved, yes. We all get involved. And it's,
a couple of years ago, we did a 24-hour global gig, which I was...
Yes, it went really well.
Yeah, and it was quite incredible. I was contacting people, literally, you gave me a list, and we had people in Australia and Germany, and we had obviously a gig in London and Edinburgh, but it was quite incredible. We had, Sweden, we had incredible acts all doing gigs across the world. And obviously Phil Jupiter's wonderfully said yes to doing the fundraising video. So it was a wonderful sense of community. So I think it is important, if you're going to apply for PBH Free Fringe, you understand that is part of this. You need to fly with your blue book. And don't. And if you get people to fly for you, make sure they fly with it, because it all becomes a cropper at some point, and you are going to be asked to help step things up.
The thing is, I mean, when you fly with that blue book, because we are so well known in Edinburgh now, they see the blue book and they come and find you.
Yeah, and all you can say,
they come and find you.
And you can go, there's all these shows around you, and here you are. It's fantastic. And there's an app as well. Brilliant. Right. So I feel that's a section on PBH's Free Fringe. Now, I want to know, now I'm going to do some learning, because I don't know much about Luke apart from he's fabulous. And his taste in where it comes to love, and his ability to look quite good naked in front of a piano. That's only from a photo in the metro, as opposed to a photo like a physical thing. So, Luke, tell me, what is it you do? How do you see yourself now? Different hat, creative hat.
I'd say, as a performer, I am chiefly a singer and pianist, and a cabaret host. That is where I get all my money from. So if I had to say what is my job, that is my job: a singer, pianist, cabaret host. So, for instance, yesterday, I've got some gigs coming back in finally. So yesterday I was singing and playing piano at the Shaftesbury Tavern, not the theatre, I should say. And this weekend I'll be hosting Gin House Burlesque, and that's at the King's Head in Dalston. And I also do an occasional bit of teaching still. I will be teaching my singing course in Skyros, not Skyros, in the Isle of Wight for New Year. There's a lovely little retreat called The Grange in the Isle of Wight, and I go to Skyros every year along with lots of other people, Kate Smurthwaite, Logan Murray, a couple of the people who go down there to teach various things like comedy writing, trapeze, all sorts of things. And I'm going to be teaching my course, which is delivering a song.
Brilliant.
And it's in the Isle of...
Effectively, I've taken that when I first met you, actually. So
Yes. It's actually very, very similar to the course that I was doing there, yes.
Yeah, so I know Kate Smurthwaite, who's also an incredible comedian and viewer and performer. So she's also teaching. So what are the dates?
She teaches stand-up, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's important to keep teaching what we've learned because you've been doing this a very long time. So how did you get from, did you go to college?
Well, of course, I mean, I learned piano from a young age. I was 7 when I started playing the piano. And then I did...
Luke, but I lasted about 2 years.
Oh, you've got to love it. You've got to love it. Yeah. And I did, fortunately. And I always sang when I was at school and college. And so I carried that through. I went to what you would call a preliminary college before I went to university, which is like they do a music course. I was at Clarendon in Nottingham. You could either take music or drama. It was like fame, basically. You know, the music students were on one side of the quad and the drama students on the other, and I used to cross the floor. I know, I was one of those. I used to hang out with the drama students sometimes. It's huge,
shocking.
I just didn't care, But I did go and study music, drama and dance at Birmingham. And I was there with lots of very talented people who've gone into all sorts of things now. I mean, Tamsin, of course, went on to be a quite a famous actress, Tamsin Gregg. Jo Harmston, a wonderful director. Julianne Robertson, she's a director. I think she directed The Wire in the end. I think she went to America. I did something like that. So many people. Suzanne, who is... now artistic director of Sadler's Wells. There's what's so different about what they all did. So like P2 went in to do think about visual effects in cinemas, and he was becoming huge in visual effects. And Alan, who runs a tech at the Canary Wharf, what I'm trying to say is it was such a melting pot of different theatrical skills, and it sort of very well placed me for doing the sort of work I do at the moment, in a way. It gives you an overview of things. So during my 20s, actually, I mainly did a bit of everything. I was acting, singing, dancing, doing a lot of bar work in between, of course. A lot of bar work. I was a very good waiter. I was a lousy barman, but I was a very good waiter. And I think I started doing sing-alongs in my late 20s. Proper sing-alongs at the piano, and I'd always sung. I'd always gone in and done the singing songs for people, and I knew a lot of the old songs because those were the sort of tours I was doing. And I just started doing it in nursing homes, and then I found out that people wanted them in pubs again, and I started doing the coach and horses. I think that was about 15 years ago when I started the coach, something like that. It was a while back, anyway. Maybe 14 years ago. And they really never looked back from that. And I started doing cabaret, I think that was about the same about 15 years ago. Because when there was a resurgence in sort of new cabaret venues in London around that sort of time. And so I was doing, all the places like Volupte, but I don't know if people remember that now. Do you remember Volupte?
Yeah, I think so.
Flats now, it's such a shame. The Brick House and the Battersea Barge, of course.
Oh my God, yes.
That's where I did my first full-length show because I write comedy songs, you see. So I did my first full-length show of comedy songs in 2006, early 2006, I think it was. Because 2005 I was doing Pas de Piaf, that's right.
I found I found a cabaret flyer myself from 2001.
Yeah.
So so next year is my I think I'm going to celebrate. It's my official 20 years of this.
Oh, wow.
And I think I did loads of the Battersea Barge, so all these venues talking. So I used to have some amazing kind of cabaret. Such a great place to have a gig, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it was a lovely place. And Peter was just so much fun. Well, it still is. He's still with us. You know, he's just hasn't got the Battersea Barge. So, yeah, I started doing that and then just hosting around it. And I've generally built up a name as a Mister Meredith, is how I describe myself. But, of course, I came up with that name because David Mills, the wonderful David Mills, who just always used to call me that. So how is Mister Meredith today? Okay.
But it's Mister, spelled M-I-S-T-E-R.
M-I-S-T-E-R, yes, the full spelling. Spelling. I don't know why I threw a horror in Schitt's Creek there. And I should have thought about that. Of course, we didn't really have the internet so much then. Now, of course, you look up Mister Meredith, it's like, you need to look up Mister Meredith Cabaret, and then you'll find me. But nowadays, when you're internet savvy, you think, pick up a name that people are going to find easily on Google.
Yeah, well, the problem is people can't spell my name. So, but anyway.
Yeah.
What are you on Instagram then? Are you Mister Meredith or Luke?
I'm Mister Meredith Luke. Yes, Mister Meredith Luke, spelt out, yes.
M-I-S-T-E-R. That's fine.
Yeah.
So people know. I don't even know.
Yeah, Mr. Meredith on Facebook, Mr. Meredith Luke, and Mr. _ on Twitter.
Yes. So I know I've seen, so you've got a sing-along pub quiz as well, yes?
I do a sing-along pub quiz because I did that the first time in 2019. Well, I was doing it in 2018 was when I first did it, and then I first did it at Edinburgh 2019. And I was going to bring it back this year, but obviously...
Well, I love it, right?
It was lovely. I had people queuing around the block, and I'd never had to flyer for it. It was...
So are you singing and doing... What's the quiz element? Because it's an interesting...
That's it. I literally sing. We sing a song together, and then I ask a question tangentially related to the question. So I don't know. Let's think of a song. I'm trying to think of a song. Sorry?
All of me.
Actually, Do Re Mi I tend to use as a warm-up song. I don't normally ask a question on that. I will use it as a warm-up song. So I did a thing of singing in the rain, for instance, and then I said, how do you measure rainfall? Is it with a pluviometer, a rainometer, a rain gauge, or just all these different things? And in fact, they're all different names for the same thing. So you could have answered. If you'd said all four, you would have got a mark. And of course, at what age did Elvis Presley die? Something like that. And of course, people got 2 marks when they said he's not dead. So, it's all basically just for a bit of fun.
Well, it's like with my thing, it's like a game show. I spoke to someone recently and they went, I never forgot when we said something and you took 500 points off us. I went, well, it's my game show.
My game show, yeah, exactly.
Random pointage for no good reason or fun.
Yeah, do you know what? I bet they didn't give you money because of that.
Probably. And also I didn't have a card machine. Anyway, So that's been touring. So you're back in London.
Yes, well, I took that to Adelaide this year as well, actually. It was lovely.
I thought I'd done last year. I thought, I'll wait to 2021. I went,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to go back this year, take Magic Far Away, but no. So we do Magic Far Away, of course, Magic Far Away Cabaret we do every year at Edinburgh as well.
Yeah, so that's the Voodoo Rooms at about 10, is it? Yeah. So
at 10, yes.
Yes, because I've done the
It used to be 10:30, but we moved it earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to do the outfit. So, and that's lots of different. So that's another thing actually about if you do PBH's Free Fringe, there's a lot of mixed cabaret shows.
I love the mixed bill shows, yeah.
So you can go and do your 5 minutes. So it's a really good way of spreading your love across the PBH audience, and they can come in and see your show. So, and you run that, don't you, Magic Fireworks?
Yeah. Yeah, you actually get a really good run of it at the Voodoo Rooms if you do come there. Because you'll have my mixed bill show, Magic Cabaret, my Magic Cabaret Cabaret. Then you've got the Midnight Hour, or whatever it's. I can't remember what it was called, but there's a midnight one in the same room straight after that. And then straight after that, you've got the Lock-In Cabaret next door.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're all great. They're all lovely. And they've all got their own different characters. Because, of course, I host the Magic Far Away, and then you've got Pete doing as Victoria's son doing the next one, Dickie Benson. And then you got lovely Griffith and Jones doing Locking Cabaret, which is one of my favourite nights.
The thing is, this is about cabaret hosting. It's not just about, is it, about standing up and introducing an act. It's about introducing your own flavour and creating a very, your energy, isn't it, really?
Yeah, you create your own night as well. And you realise what works best with your energy as a host, exactly. It's got to feel right. All of those ones that I just mentioned, those 3 different shows, they've got a different flavour. And it depends, and they bring their own audience back time and time again. And it's not always the same audience. It's interesting, even though they're in 3 more or less at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to, so back in 2001, my first cabaret hosting, and I think you just learn that you like certain acts and some. I've got friends of mine, I did one at C venues, actually. I was running the cabaret there, as well as doing my Finding Primitive Man show. This is when I did paid Fringe. Horror. And I've got friends of there, and there was some act came on. She took 5 minutes to get very slowly up to the stage, dressed in a lot of blue see-through plastic, just some opera tune. And, and my friends still remember me trying to get her to move quicker on and then off the stage, because she was going to do another 10-minute exit, and we were like, we've got shows on. But it's just wonderful to see lots of different work. So what advice would you give someone who is wanting to do cabaret or wanting to create their own work? What things have really kept you forward over what is now decades?
I would say be true to yourself. Find out, what do you do well, and then just keep doing that. Listen to people. But don't always follow what they say, but do listen to them. I would say be nice. Be nice. You might think it's clever to go, I know this gossip, or I feel bitchy or whatever, and look at me with my cigarette in one hand and my gin and tonic in the other. Do you know what? People don't really like that too much. Be nice, be chatty, be friendly in a dressing room. You get booked very often on what you're like as much as what you're like on stage, what you're like to work with. Will this be will this be a pleasant experience for me? Because none of us are in this for the money. We're in this to have a great time doing what we love. And to create things. We've got things inside ourselves. And that's not, when you're in a bad environment, that never works. If you're working with people that are annoying you, you don't feel good on stage, and you're not giving your best work on stage. So be nice.
I remember I'd hired an amazing tech, actually, for it was my Queen show, and we had I hadn't met him before he was coming in, but we had a phone chat, and he said to me on the phone, he's very experienced as a tech person and was doing up 2 or 3 other shows, for at the Edinburgh, which were non-PBH Fringe. And he said to me, I will understand if you lose it or you get angry, because I'm used to this. And I said, if I lose it and get angry, I'm not doing my job. If I'm rude to you as a tech person, I mean, we all get frustrated. But I remember, actually, it was back when I did the C Venues Midnight Cabaret. There was an artist on, I won't say his name, but I do still remember it. And he was so rude to me because some act was a bit late and whatever. I have never forgotten it. And every time, completely unnecessary, you use the F word, I want to effing get on stage right now. And I'm like, and I was just like,
you're going to tell me later. Once this podcast is finished, you're so going to tell me who that is.
Yeah, I will. and it was just because we're all, it's a cabaret, it's 90 minutes, we're all trying to get on stage, it's in the thing, la, la, la. And I literally was like, I will never forget your name. There aren't many people like that, but you don't forget. And equally. So what about making money as a creative artist? How do you feel you've managed to make it work?
Sometimes I have no idea. Sometimes I'm one of those people who has this massive imposter syndrome. And I speak to so many of us do have this imposter syndrome where we're going, I can't believe people pay me for this. I can't believe people pay me for what I do well. But then at other times I look at what I do and I go, I am so good at that. You know, or actually I tend to look at other people doing it badly and I just go, Jesus, I'm so much better than that. But it's very tempting, and I think this is the other bit of advice about cabaret. It's very tempting to think that because it comes easily to you. I mean, not easily; it's still work, but it's not special. I mean, I would say it comes easily to me. I mean, I spend ages rehearsing, I spend ages practicing, I spend ages, but I don't really consider it work because I enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if I'm at the piano all night, I don't consider it that work. But at the same time, I have spent hours at the piano all night just because I want to get something better. And then I'll come off it.
Sorry, you're talking about practicing now, not.
Yes, yeah. Practicing, yes. Yeah, just or learning songs or writing songs. And I don't go to bed thinking, oh, that was a hard day's work. I go to bed going, oh, that was good. I got a lot done there. Do you see what I mean? That's the difference. It's like not thinking, oh, that was work. Oh, that was a hard day's graft. That was. You go, oh, I feel really good because I got so much done.
Oh, yes. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes, you've really turned the work of making yourself a better performer, a better artist, a better musician.
But what I think where I was going with that is that the temptation there is you forget that in fact it was still work. It was still hours doing it was still putting in hours at doing what you do well. And there is a reason you do what you do well. And you forget all those hours you put in because it was just so much fun. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that process of, if you're going to go and do a month at Edinburgh, then it's not just a month at Edinburgh and it's not just the work of the show, it's all the other bits, isn't it? It's the letting people know.
God. I'd say 5% of the work you do is on stage at maximum. We both know that. A lot of the work is about so much like work, just thinking about what you're going to be doing, writing it down, processing stuff. I mean, even just stuff like this is something that it kind of is still part of our job. It's informing people. It's giving back to the profession. It's publicising myself, And
I'm going to get here. Luke is fabulous. Mr. Meredith, spelled M-I-S-T-E-R.
S-T-E-R. M-E-R-E-D-I-T-H. Yes.
Very, very.
Once again, like I say, this was before we had search terms. That's when I came up with that idea.
But
that's how long I've been doing this.
Yeah, but the point is, you are fabulous, but you're fabulous because, yes, I always say obviously there's talent, but there's also the decades of you becoming a better musician and singer and performer, and then there's the additional element of let's create work that because you never know when we create shows.
Yeah,
if they're going.
I've done some stinkers. Of acts in my time. Unfortunately, I can look back and laugh because I have friends that we look back, and I've got friends that we just talk about the stinking acts we've pulled in our time and seen as well. I mean, generally speaking, they were a bit earlier on, but I think I'm sure I'm capable of doing a few more stinkers still. But that's part of the process. You've got to try things. I would say don't be afraid to fail is another thing. And when you fail, pick yourself up, decide what you learned, and go ahead and create something wonderful. Because you will.
Yes.
And you'll be that person. I've seen it before in other artists where I've gone to see something they've done and I've gone, oh my God, that's awful. And then a few years later, I've gone back and gone, oh my God, that's genius.
I would say you're talking about me, but I don't think you want to call the
well, actually, I've seen you do. I've seen you fail on stage before, and I've seen you succeed on stage before. Yes, absolutely. But you've seen that of me as well, I'm sure.
Yeah,
we all do. And I think that any performer that says they haven't failed on stage, they're average at best.
Yeah, and I think we're more like to fail more in the early years, but then you start, what is failure is the question, because then we'll push ourselves to create work we're not sure others are going to follow maybe.
Yeah.
Or that our normal audience won't follow, and then some people love it, and maybe it's not sellable in the same way. So there's commercial versus critical failure and success almost.
Well, you perform more and more, and you start realising what people like about what you do, And you just know what audiences like in you, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think that's the main thing. You stop trying to do things that you would like to do. I mean, it's all good for pushing the envelope, but at the same time, sometimes you just have to go, that ain't my thing. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
It's not my vibe.
Yeah.
You're trying to be something that's not real, and audiences can spot that a mile off if it's not real.
Yeah, I was on Facebook Memories at the moment. In 2015, I made a whole "What Your Favourite Christmas Song Says About You" as part of the Singing Psychic, and I recorded it in a day. A friend of mine did my makeup. I'm like silver and grey. And in fact, that evening I had to go out to dinner with my then boyfriend, and he dumped me the next day because of how I looked. Because I turned off it. I just couldn't get the makeup off. I took the wig off, the singing psychic wig off. But I had like literally silver and grey face with glitter everywhere.
Yeah.
And he was quite a famous footballer, and he was not having his girlfriend looking cool. I'm like, I can't get to dinner. He's like, come. Anyway, but I was watching this work. It's coming up now, and it's just so lovely to see the work I made 5 years ago. And it's not wrong, because it's just the singing psychic doing what she does, which is, if you like this song, it says this. And it's a lovely joy and energy of that. But that I just look at it now and go, actually, it's fine. Is the singing perfect? No. Is it a bit scrambled? Yeah. But the energy is right.
Yes, I don't think that's the point of that character at all. It is about the energy and where she's going. Yeah,
and the slight bonkersness of it. And I'm completely, I think knowing what it is that your character, you do, just expanding that. But equally, we want to keep moving forward. So I'm going to draw this to a kind of close. Did you ever get any advice that one person said to you that's really kept you going, or has it just been a myriad of life experience?
I've had some great advice on life, really. But I'm trying to think of any advice in stage-wise.
Have life advice?
I'll tell you that the advice I would give is always get back on the horse. When you fall off, get back on. And the sooner you get back on that horse, the better. I will say, and I learned this about Edinburgh as well, and I learned this from another act, and I won't mention them, but they had a terrible, terrible Edinburgh the year before I had a terrible Edinburgh, and they never went back, and it broke them as an act. They split up, it completely broke them, and they were good. They were a talented act, and they were so clever and so funny, but it broke them, and they never went back. I had a terrible Edinburgh. 2009 was my first solo show in Edinburgh. So the first time I took up a solo show was 2009, and it was dreadful. I did everything wrong, and I went up, and I'd wrecked my voice the week before I went up. I had to do this show, and I stupidly kept singing and I'd wrecked it raw. And unfortunately, I had a reviewer come on the second night when my voice was still raw, and it was all just a very bad experience, the whole thing. And then I thought, what I need to do is go back the next year and get it right. And I did. I did everything wrong. I did that first year. I did right the second year. So my second year, I went up with a 3-hander for the support. Took my best shit up there, and went with PBH's Free Fringe. I went for better accommodation with. I stayed with friends centrally. I did all the things that just worked for me that year, and it was so much better Fringe, and that was the pattern for Fringes afterwards.
Well, it's definitely true. Bring your best work.
I would say get back on the horse when you fall, get back up, because everybody falls. Every single person. You'll have people tell you you're crap. You'll have people tell you you're amazing. And both things are true. Yeah. Because sometimes you are crap and sometimes you are amazing. And just accept it. One nice piece of advice actually I was given was by a reviewer, the lovely Donald Tutera, who reviews for The Times, I think, a lot. He does mostly dance and theatre pieces. But he said, a review tells you more about the reviewer than the show. So bear that in mind. because what the reviewer is doing is sharing their concept of, who they are and whether they like the show or not. They can't do anything else, in fairness. That all they can do is give their view of what the show is. And sometimes it's not for them. But it was for the other person who was laughing or took it to heart or whatever, or it affected them deeply, or they just got you. And everybody is like that. And I give that's the same singing advice I give to people who are singers. Like, everybody can sing, not everybody wants to hear you. And that is absolutely true. Everybody can sing, not everybody wants to hear you. Singing is it's a mental process. It's a state of mind. It's where we are. It sits in a different part of our brains, and it sits in a different part of our hearts. And there are famous singers, hugely popular singers, that there's somebody in the world goes, oh, God, I can't bear them. You'll think of even people like Amy Winehouse, people like even opera. There are some people who just outright go, I can't stand operatic voices. You know what I mean? Like the most beautiful voices in the world, someone would say, and someone would say, I can't. And you just have to accept it. Not everyone's going to like you. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does.
Thank you. Well, that's a great bit of advice indeed. Because it's true. People absolutely love me and absolutely can't stand me. And
me too. Me too.
That's fine.
It's fine. Yes, exactly. It's fine.
It is fun.
It's a good life lesson. It's a really good life lesson. I think if you can take that into your life as well, it's great.
Nice to dating as well, right?
I love you, Marysia. I think.
Thank you. I love you too. And I love you. So, brilliant. So let's wrap this up. So, to get hold of the fabulous Mr. spelled Mister
Ster.
He's on at Mister Meredith Luke on Instagram. And Twitter and Facebook. Mr_Meredith on Twitter. And on Facebook, just find Mister Meredith. Yes. Perfect. And PBH Free Fringe is freefringe.org. It's it's freefringe.org.uk to apply. You can find us on Twitter as The Free Fringe or on Instagram as The Free Fringe. And I think on Facebook we're free.fringe. But you can just look up PBH. Basically, Google PBH Free Fringe, and you will find I'll put some wherever this is going. I'll put some links for everybody. As I say, we are the I would say the only true Free Fringe because we don't charge people at all, and we ask for voluntary donations sometimes just to keep us going, but they are strictly voluntary, and it's a community aspect really. And I can laud the work you all guys do, and of course I've done it and will continue to do it. And even if you're not ready for 2021 to do, any time you come over to want to think about doing Edinburgh, then I'm sure there's going to be some form of PBH Free Fringe in decades to come. So, and you don't need to do the whole month. You can do a few weeks, can't you? You can do a day. Come and do a day. We love shows that just do a day because you need to fit in people's days off. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, exactly. Have a day off a week, my advice. Oh, God, have a day off. Yes, whatever you do, have a day off. Really. If later on you feel like you can get away, like Dave Amick, who never takes a day off for 3 shows. I mean, but he's insane. He's a work machine. And he's amazing, but I know. He's an incredible performer. He's also dead by the end of the Fringe. He's got a small baby as well. God. Oh, well, I know. That's a good wife or husband now, I tell you. Yes. Yeah, oh, my goodness. You need that. So, cool. So, thank you. I'm going to draw this fabulousness to a close. Marysia Trembetska from I Love Your Creativity and Make Money podcast, interviewing the fabulous Luke Meredith, Mr. Meredith, and speak to you all soon. Let's all make the world a better place. Let's all tell stories, our stories, so we can help people and uplift them and educate them and open conversations and also illuminate and lift your heart, because as a creative, we need to create. If you'd like to work with me, you can, as an actor, you can contact my agent if you want to book the incredible singing psychic for a customised, branded, unique event where she reads the songs in your heart and maybe plays psychic bingo with you all, then again, contact me through my at Marysia T on Instagram, Twitter, etc. And equally my queen work. Okay, lovely to speak to you soon. I'm Marysia Trembetska. Bye.